Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's check our volume levels. How is our volume? I don't even know how to use a computer. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Cine-Ops podcast. This is the first episode of 2026. How are you? How is everyone? What do we got planned? What do we got planned? It's the new season, the 2026 season, and I'm excited. Can't talk about 2026 without recapping 2025. Let's see. A lot happened. A lot. We covered a lot of ground. 2025. 25 was one of my best years on the podcast. I was more consistent than I have been other years since I've started. And then I see that in the numbers, right? In the stats, I have a very gradual incline. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for everybody that supported me. Everyone that listens, everyone that shares, that emails in. I get your emails. I try to get to as much of them as I can. All the requests all the requests I get, I try to get them. And then when I don't have a request, I kind of just do whatever we want. You know what I mean? We just see how she flies. 2025 was wild. A lot of stuff got done. I had my third child, baby girl, super beautiful. My oldest son started school. My middle son, super adorable. My work has been going good. You don't want to hear about that. I didn't do stand-up comedy. I remember at the beginning of the year, I was making the plans. I was like, I need to make better YouTube videos. I need to make better podcasts. I need to do stand-up comedy because I started doing stand-up comedy, right? I went to go do stand-up comedy in 2022. I had been out of the Marine Corps for a year, like a year and a half. And I missed. Look, I got out of the Marines, let's say like January 2021. Really, it was like December 2020. That was my last day in the Marines. And I didn't. Right, you get out, you're transitioning out. You have to adjust to things. I got out at the end of 2020. I didn't laugh or feel. Everything was weird. Everything was a little different. You're kind of in this in between, right? You're not really here. You're not there. I got out in 2021, January 21. I didn't feel okay or feel comfortable, or I didn't really laugh or whatever it was. I didn't feel okay until November 2023. That was, and I didn't know that in the time. I didn't know why I felt everything was a little off. And then 2023, got to meet some different people. Veterans, actually. Got to hang out with some more veterans. And I've been doing better. I was better ever since. Right? So I'm doing good. But the thing is, I started doing stand-up, right? I'm going on a thing. This is a rant episode, by the way. We're not doing a movie. We're ranting today. We're just hanging out, catching up. Wrapping up, catching up, seeing what we got going on. Tell me a little bit about you. So, I went to go do stand-up in 2022 because I missed laughing so much, right? I realized that I got out of the Marines. I was doing college. I had my family here. But whenever I went to college, everything was so boring. Everybody was so lame. And like, you try to crack a joke or you try to make friends, but everybody does their own thing. And it's that's all right, you know what I mean? But nobody laughs, bro. You're not gonna hang out or whatever. And I felt isolated, right? Because like you come from the military, this group, you're in a group with all your best friends. Everybody's cool, and now it's just you, bro. Everybody went back to their hometowns. It's just you. And I was in college. I met a few veterans, but we wouldn't. It was just like, oh yeah, that guy's in my class, but we didn't really talk, or we talked a little. And I missed laughing. I missed those deep laughs, those inside jokes that I had with my friends, right? With all all my best friends, we had inside jokes. We did bits, right? We would pretend. I remember we had these 2-man tents when we were we did an op at Cleveland National Forest. We had to sleep in these 2-man tents. Oh, it was so funny. We would be in the tent and we were pretending to do the imagination box from SpongeBob. We were just creating these crazy things. But when you try to explain that to somebody, they're like, "What are you, SpongeBob? 2-man tent? What? Too many people. They don't understand the bit." And that pisses me off, bro. Or like people, they try to, you say something stupid, and they're like, "Well, what? I mean, oh, this guy doesn't get bits." And for me, you got to commit to the bit. This is how committed to the bit is. This is how committed to the bit I am. My friend, I have a friend named Ivan. Ivan, he runs a pool hall team called the Crazy Eights. And when I met him, we were talking. He was telling me he plays pool. I'm like, "Oh, bro, I like playing pool." But out of spite or just as a bit, I told him, "Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a rival team. I'm going to create a rival team to rival yours." Let me show you. So, like, I filled out the registration, everything like that. I made a logo. And I was like, "You know what? I'm going to make a team just to rival yours." And I made this logo, and the team's called Deathstrokes. And because his team is the Crazy Eights, is hitting the 8 ball. I mean, kind of just a bit. So I made a logo, made the team, registered the team as a bit. So I come from bits. Everything's a bit. Every line, everything we say, every reaction, everything we do as friends is a joke. It's a bit. And I hate people that take things too seriously. But maybe that's a Marine thing. Maybe that's the thing amongst me and my friends. And then I miss laughing, right? So I miss bits. I miss laughing. I miss fun. I miss friendship, whatever it is. I said, you know what I'll do? I'm going to go try to do stand-up comedy. I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And it took me a month. It took me weeks. It took me weeks because, okay, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go. I decided to go. And then I was like, oh, no, wait, I started hitting me. Like, oh, well, what am I going to say? Oh, I got to stand up in front of all these people. They don't know me, whatever. I started talking myself out of it. And I kept talking myself out of it. My wife's like, "Hey, why don't you just go? Just go and sit there, see what's going on. And if you don't like it, don't do it," whatever like that. So I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. What's the worst that could happen, right?" So I took her advice. I go to the comedy club right here in Escondido, the Grand Comedy Club. I go to the open mics. They open at 7. I'm there early, 6:45. I go. I walk up to the spot and try to open the door. It's locked. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I did my part. It's not meant to be. And they immediately open the door. They're like, "Hey, what's up, bro? You here for the open mic?" I'm like, "Yeah." The guy that opened the guy that opened the door is named Josiah, right? He's a comedian, but he's like, "Yes, come sign in, whatever." And at that moment, he's like, "Oh, so what's your stage name?" So I was like, "Oh, well, they called me Alvy in the Marines. They called me Rado. They called me Alvy." I was like, "Oh, just put down Alvy. I'm Alvy." He's like, "Okay." Puts me down Alvy. And I'm sitting in the room. There's no different section for whatever. So I'm sitting in the comedy room, right? And there's all these tables. And I'm sitting there, right? And I'm like, all right, okay, I could do this. Because I was just going to show up and be in the audience. But then on the drive there, a little 25-minute drive, I was like, "Nah, bro, why are you scared?" I kept talking to myself up, hyping myself up. I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. So I signed up. And now I'm in there waiting. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking around. Okay, this is the room. There's the stage. Everything's all right. I'm going to be all right. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. And the room starts filling up. And you can see some of the people are filling up. They're having some drinks. They're the audience. You can see some other people are coming in. They're other comics. And they know each other. They're dapping each other up. They're laughing. They have notebooks. They have flashcards. They have paper. They're ready. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was allowed. I didn't know anything. And everybody's chilling, and I'm getting anxious, right? I'm getting like the type of anxious where you keep checking your phone, and you keep checking your phone, but you're not looking at anything, and then you're like, oh, what was that? But it wasn't anything. And I'm super nervous. And I'm like, all right, just relax, right? The time starts, right? They start the owner of this place. He did a set first, and the way it's gonna go is like they're gonna call up. So up next is gonna be this guy, while he does his 5 minutes. and then they're gonna do their time, so that way you always know one act ahead when you're next. So that way you get ready, you get close to the stage, everything like that. And they start, right? And I'm like, okay, nobody's laughing. Like, people are doing their jokes, nobody's laughing. And I was like, oh, they might not laugh. I didn't even think about that. So now I'm like extra anxious, and I'm getting nervous. I feel like throwing up. And they keep going, right? They keep going. And then it's some other people's first night doing stand up. And there was this girl doing stand up, and she was joking about therapy. She joking about therapy, a couple of iced coffee jokes. And I was like, oh wow, it's her first time. She's doing great. And she had her let me grab this paper. She had her notes, right? So she would say her joke, something, whatever. Kind of look around, no laughs. And I was like, oh my God, what? Nobody's laughing. What's wrong? Nobody's in a laughing mood, I guess. And then she kind of like, nobody laughs, and she looks at her next joke, and I thought she was doing great. I thought she was calm and confident. And then really when she held up her big ass sheet of paper, that's when you see she was like, oh, what's the deal? So I'm like, oh my God, she's nervous. Okay. That made me feel better. I'm like, oh, she's a little bit nervous. I'm nervous too. Okay. All right, this is going to be all right. And they call up this woman, and she's doing her, I just don't want to say her name, right? She's doing her jokes. They're not landing. And now they're not only are they not landing, they're kind of bad. So they're kind of bad. So not only is it silence, people are like, like, I don't know what's worse than silence. Is it a pity laugh, boos, groans, heckling, silence? You don't know. You only want laughs, I guess. And her time was up. She was done, and they called Derek. And then after Derek's gonna be Alvy, right? So they're like, all right, Derek. No, Derek's not here today. Hey, Alvy, come on up. So I didn't even have the 5 minutes. So I was like, oh my God, I just almost threw up. But I was like, all right, I go up there, nervous, right? My heartbeat's beating in my eardrums. Boom, 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 boom. About to throw up. And I keep remembering, like, I keep thinking about, like, nah, you've been through worse to this. You've been through worse. You've done harder things than this. And like, the thing is, you can't remember it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I have. What were they? What were they? Nah, I don't know. All right, let's do it. So I get up there, right? I'm on stage. The light's on me. It's super bright. And I say, what if I throw up right now? And everybody laugh. People start laughing. Because, I didn't plan on saying that. And then I said, what if I threw up right now? And then somebody laughed. I'm like, okay. I start doing my bit, a little joke that I thought about. And then they laughed. So I'm like, okay, is it just my imagination? Or was, it was nobody laughing before. Everybody's laughing. Okay, that's a good sign. And I did my 3 minutes. I did like 3.5 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm Alvy. I'm out of here. Right? I gave the time, right? I did everything. And my first mic was over, right? I did it. And I was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then I went back another night, right? The next week, the following week, and I did a 5 minutes. And it was the same thing, right? They're calling people up. They called Alvy. Alvy, I'm up there. I had worked on some jokes. I set up better, right? And I started right, did this. Boom, big laughs. I did my first joke, big laughs. Did my second joke, even bigger laughs. I saw somebody grab him like this. Like somebody grabbed her ribs, right? He's in stitches. And everybody was laughing. And when I came down, they were like dapping me up as I was walking away. They were like, oh, that was so funny, brother. Hit me. And I was like, I can do this. I'll do it. I'll do stand-up. And I would go more often, right? But then as I was going more often and meeting more people, I was making friends. Or I was meeting other comics and stuff like that. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same as my friends, the Marines that I served with. We were all buddies together. It wasn't the same kind of bits, kind of laughter. It was like a competition. It felt like a competition, like a business. And what really pissed me off is that some of these dudes, well, there's one guy in particular, right? It just pisses me off because he'd always be like, I've been doing this for 8 years. And in my head, I'm like, well, the audience didn't know that, bro, because they weren't laughing, right? And he's like, he was kind of like, no, I don't want to get into that. But anyway, he was just kind of the worst. Because like, he would just say, oh, I've been seniority, right? A seniority thing. I've been doing this sets. I've been doing these clubs or spots, whatever. And I'm like, bro, everybody's kind of a bitch. You know what I mean? Everybody was pissing me off. I'm like, everybody acts kind of like a bitch. Everybody wants to do their best. And that's cool. Like, I just showed up to laugh and have fun. and now it's turned into something else. So, I was over it. I still want to do my bits, make people laugh, and hopefully make some money off of it. But I haven't been, right? I got a new job. I didn't want to miss my job. I didn't want to do this. My wife was super pregnant, right? I had gotten a new job. I couldn't stay out late, do the spots. So in 2025, I literally went once to do stand-up, and then my name was so late on the list, I was like, hey, bro, just give my spot to someone else. I got to go. And then I haven't been back since. So we'll see. I'll probably try to get a few spots this year and just do better, because I always pick up good steam, right? I do different spots and make good friends and people. One of my friends, he's a booker at the Mic Drop, and everything. So everything could be better. I just have to go. But yeah, in 2025, I said I was going to do more, and I only went once. So for 2026, I'm not going to say anything, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? What else? What were we saying? As of right now, I'm working on growing the podcast, as you know. In 2025, I started making videos. So now you can see me. I don't think you've seen me before. And, it's nothing special. I got a backdrop, right? So it's kind of just like I didn't want to just be in an empty room with an empty background. If you look at this, you're like, oh, what is this podcast about? There's an Optimus Prime over there. The Optimus Prime is actually a mask. So that's a voice-changing mask. A voice-changing mask. I bought it at the old comic book store I used to go to. I'm a big comic book guy, right? I'm a big consumer of fiction and or nonfiction. And I just love stories, right? If there's like a story behind this, or a cartoon, or a show, or whatever it is, I just love story. I just love literature. I just love content. And in doing so, I'm becoming like this collector of physical media, which is like a new thing. It means, physical media means anything that's physical, because everything, you stream music, you stream TV shows. So like to have an actual DVD, you now collected a physical media, right? So you used to be able to collect a record, a cassette. Now that is called a collector of physical media. So just little by little, I'm collecting stuff. So you see, now I could do the podcast like this, just like an Autobot Transformer. Imagine if I did the whole podcast like this. So I'd be like, oh man, Ip Man did Wing Chun, Wing Chun. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, this is the Optimus voice-changing mask. Pretty sick. Pretty sick, bro. It's Optimus. Let's see what else we got. That's a cratering charge case. So in the Marines, you do a lot of explosives, and the cases that the explosives come in, you can keep them kind of. So that's what I got there. I got a cratering charge case right there. I got a nice little rocket launcher up there. I have an APOB. If you don't know what an APOB is, let me get into this. An APOB is a anti-personnel, breaching obstacle system or whatever it is. And essentially what it is a set, right? So you and your buddy put on this backpack, right? You put on this backpack. Inside that backpack is like this giant sleeves. Inside the sleeve is a bunch of grenades. So you have to work in pairs, right? So when you're in the Marines, you got to breach some obstacles. Say there's an obstacle over there. You gotta make a path. You use the APOBs, set them up, connect them. At the front pack, there's a rocket. And I have all this in the garage. I'll probably bring it out later. You have a backpack, you have a rod, and you hook up a rocket to it, and you hook them all together. So that way the rocket is going to pull that entire sleeve of grenades, land on the obstacle. It's gone. It's not there anymore. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we got. This is a handprint of my hand, my wife's, my two boys. We got to add my daughter on there. I got this. So this is, can you see that? So this is Gambit from the X-Men. He's one of my favorite X-Men, one of my favorite comic book characters. And I always liked, what was so real about Gambit is that he's like, oh, I'm just going to try to get some money. I'm trying to get some girls, whatever it was. And that felt pretty real. So this was a drawing of Gambit made by a comic artist who signed it. And he has like the two other versions of like the rough sketches of this. And then also have, so this is Gambit, right? I wanted to buy this one. And then I also have this by the same artist, Al Bigley, Al Bigley is the Hulk, right? Incredible Hulk. And the thing is, like, I wasn't gonna buy this one, but he was standing right there selling them, and he's like, "Yeah, what's your name?" And he wrote my name on it. So now I was kind of like forced to buy. I was like forced to buy it, bro. He extorted me. But yeah, this was like, these were there were a lot. They were like 100 something back when I bought them, but they're like originals or whatever. I thought they were pretty cool. I got some DVDs, up there. They're not all of the ones I have, but I did stop buying them just because there's not a lot of places to buy them now. But one of my favorite stores, it's in Kearny Mesa, right? It's this area in San Diego, and it's it's like an Asian district. So there's like a lot of Asian stores there. So one of my favorite spots is called Nishiki Ramen. So you go in there, have some great ramen, one of the best ramens I've ever had. And you walk right across the street and there's a Japanese thrift store called Book Off. And Book Off has a bunch of VHSs, retro video games, a whole bunch of cool stuff, any kind of old used books. It's one of my favorite stores. One of my favorite things to do is just go down and get some ramen, Japanese thrift store. So that's where I like to get some old DVDs or anything like that. I remember the first movie, I was probably like 10 or 12, and I had like $20. I had like $20, and I was at Walmart. I was at Walmart with my mom in Sanford, North Carolina, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna, I felt grown. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna go buy a movie, and there were still VHSs, there were cassettes, and it was like as they were fading, they were bringing in the DVDs. So at the time, they were like cassettes were here, DVDs were over here, and then eventually, DVDs took over. But my first VHS that I ever bought, the first movie I bought, which was VHS, it was Chronicles of Riddick with Vin Diesel. I don't think we've done that. We got to do that. But Vin Diesel, he's Richard B. Riddick. He's this killer / Furion warrior. We'll get all into that later on. But that was the first movie I've ever bought. And then I bought like I'd always watch like rated R movies. So I'd always be watching like Desperado, Jet Li, stuff like that. So yeah, so I got some DVDs up there. I have a box full of like wires and stuff from like random projects or other things I have. And it says time travel stuff on it, but that's like a nod to the Rick and Morty episodes. He has a box that says time travel stuff on there because Rick and Morty is like loosely a spoof / based on Back to the Future. And then you see this right here? Right away, that's a drawing, right? But it's a drawing of Mr. Freeze from Batman, the animated series, and his wife Nora is frozen, right? Because I don't know if you know about Mr. Freeze, Dr. Freeze. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Freeze. He was doing research as a scientist for whatever reason, but he also used that research to try to find a cure for his wife. But then the people that were in charge of the funding, they're like, hey, you're not allowed to do that. Cancel this right now. And it was during the experiment to save his wife. And he's like, no, if you do it now, my wife will die, whatever like that. And they try to pull it, it explodes. So he got cryogenically frozen ice powers. And he's still, even though he's an evil villain, right? He's a Batman villain. He really is trying to get money to find a way to cure his wife, who's frozen, so she doesn't die. So she's frozen, so she doesn't keep aging and keep getting sick and doesn't die. So I thought that was pretty romantic. And my sister drew that. Yeah, so I have a sister, I have a brother. They're the ones that I grew up with, but I also have a sister, brother on my dad's side because, the divorce and all that, whatever it is. But, yeah, my sister drew that. What else? I got some camera gear here. Like, usually there's more stuff, but it's the holidays, been making videos because I wanted to do YouTube videos. I always, we're ranting. Follow me along. I think we're done with all this. Oh, Doctor Who. Doctor Who, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I've watched over like 400 episodes of Doctor Who. So that's pretty cool there. And then over here, you can't see, but I have lights. I have a desk and a computer there, desk and a computer here. This is where I do most of my schoolwork, which if you're curious, all straight A's. All straight A's this semester. I'm finishing up a degree that I was supposed to finish back in 2022. So yeah, I shouldn't have been doing stand-up. I should have finished the degree. But you know the way life is. Life is wild, man. Life will beat the hell out of you. What else? I have These I like to take. I take a lot of Polaroid pictures, and this gives you. Let's see. 8. So each pack has 8. This box had 5. So this box had 5 packs. Each pack, so pretty much 40. So I had 40 pictures in here. It was $80. So film is expensive, but it's all good. Let me see. Yeah, over here I have like a bunch of. You can't see, right? All you can see is here, but there's stuff on the floor. My kids are in here all the time. Oh, I don't think you've ever seen this. Look at this. Look at this. Isn't this crazy? I found this at a thrift store. It's a, not, I don't want to say vintage, but it's an old Pokemon stamp set, and they're all in here. All the stamps are in here. The original Pokemon ink pad is in here, and each one of these stamps, it has a different. I don't know if you can see. You see that? It's a Bulbasaur. You see that? It's a Bulbasaur. So that's pretty cool. They're all in there, and I had that on the backdrop. I had that on the backdrop, but it's like, I don't know. I guess sometimes I wonder, like, people are gonna see the. I guess I worry that like people are gonna see the backdrop and they're like, what kind of podcast is this? So whatever. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of notebooks and stuff. Sometimes I do outlines for the episode, so I kind of like block. Can you see this? So sometimes I kind of write notes and certain things that I want to hit about a movie or an outline of a video. And I do write in cursive, but that's only because I've written in cursive since I was like in 10th grade. And it's only because my print is so bad. My just print handwriting is so bad. And it's only because my print is so bad. And then cursive just kind of came naturally. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I finished my college, straight A's. This is the first time in my life. First time in my life I ever made straight A's for every class in one semester. And it was hard. It was a lot of time. I just want to be done with all that. I just want to be done and do stand-up comedy, Dad. I just want to make YouTube videos, Dad. Don't you understand? I've always made videos, right? Before you could be a YouTuber, right? I have videos. All right. I'll add one in here. That was pretty crazy, right? So I've made videos since I got a phone. So as soon as I got a phone, when I was like 18, I bought a BlackBerry torch, and it had a camera on there, and I made videos all the time. Me and my friends, it was just fun to me. I always liked making videos, and I never posted it, right? So I would have videos of me and my buddy walking around Walmart doing, saying stupid stuff or whatever like that, and I just never posted them, mainly because I didn't know how. I didn't have a computer, and then I kind of just couldn't. I could never justify making videos while I had to do other stuff. You know what I mean? I should have. I think I did make a few videos of like the things I was doing, but now is when I'm at a place to where like, okay, everything is taken care of. Now with my extra time, or with whatever time I can carve out, I'll try to make the podcast. I'll make videos. I'll do stand up. So that's why it helps, right? If you could like this video, if you could share, if you could email in, let me know what you think. All right. If you hate it, email in and tell me how much you hate it. I'd appreciate that. I'd respect you for it. If you're like, you know what, bro, I hate. You know what? Somebody told me to my face. I don't even want to tell you. You know what I mean? Because I was. You know how sometimes you look up to people. Sometimes you look up to people. Maybe it's like a role model, or whatever. And I've had people that I looked up to, but then I don't have any heroes. For the most part, there's been people that are like that I've looked up to in my life, and they've helped me, or there are people that I've looked up to that there were things that I've learned from them. But anyway, there was sometimes Like I was a young Marine, right? I was still a young Marine. I had started the podcast, right? So if you remember, I started the podcast. I was in the Marines. We were training in this training area with no service in the middle of the desert. Somebody asked me, have you ever seen that movie Cars? And I told them exactly what happened in the movie Cars. And they're like, oh, I feel like I just saw it. And then little by little, every time, every chow time, I was a story guy. I was telling stories and the crowds got bigger. The entire company was there listening to what I'm telling them. And then when I came home, I figured out how to make a podcast, right? I started doing a podcast and I started putting it out there, right? But at the same time, when I started the podcast, I wasn't this clean cut, straight arrow you see today. I was saying the N word, but I'm from a place where you can say that, right? So I grew up, that way. I was very aggressive. I was very like, maybe not, I wasn't using so much slang or whatever, but it was like a very, I don't want to say dirty, but it was like a immature way to talk, right? So if you go back far enough to the first few episodes, you'll see, there's a change. There's been a difference. Maybe I've grown, but at the time I didn't realize it, right? This is the way I am. I'll never change, whatever. But things, people change. I've changed. I think I've grown, I hope. But yeah, so I was making the podcast and I was like, I don't want to say I was begging my friends to listen, but yeah, in a way I was begging them to listen. I'm like, yo, you want to listen to the episode? You remember you like the way I told stories out there? I'm still doing the stories and they don't. You know what I mean? A lot of times they didn't because, well, we listened to your stories out there because there was nothing else. Really, is really what it felt like. And then I was like, hey, bro, like I made an episode. And then it felt like I had to beg them to listen to my stuff. You know what I mean? And, right, some of them did or everything like that. And then one day we're in front of this staff sergeant, right? And one of the staff sergeant, he was, like our platoon, was he our platoon sergeant? Might have been. I think he was our platoon sergeant at the time. And they were talking to him. And like, yo, did you listen to Rado's podcast? And he's like, yeah, the one where he's like telling stories, like cussing and saying all this. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's not for me. And I'm like, damn, bro, like that shit hurt. You know what I mean? Because like he was one of the guys in the crowd listening to me telling the stories. And now he's like, yeah, nah, sorry. And maybe he didn't mean it in a horrible way. And looking back at it now, I was like, oh yeah, I mean that's a very valid thing to say. But at the time, I was like, you know what? Fuck you. You know what, bro? You know what I mean? So like, I was like, damn, bro. Well, all right. And then it was like, so that kind of hurt my feelings about that. And then I was still trying, and then I was like begging my friends to listen. But at the same time, I was inconsistent. I wasn't putting out a good product, whatever it was. So, it was a rough start. And then little by little, people started listening, right? And then I started on SoundCloud. And on SoundCloud, it was, I was doing good. I had good numbers, right? Big numbers. And then I decided, you know what? This is only on SoundCloud. I need to change. I need to grow. I need to do something else. And then I found a host. So now I'm on different platforms, right? So I'm on Apple, Pandora, iHeart, whatever, Spotify. Or you could just type in the Cine-Ops podcast and you could just listen to it without it on the website, you know what I mean? Whatever. So, so it felt like I started over, right? And it's just, I started over, just in numbers alone, you know what I mean? Because I already knew what I was doing. I felt comfortable. I found my voice. I found the structure of the podcast. And little by little, I was doing better. I was gaining more confidence. And I wouldn't tell anybody, listen. I was like, I don't want to say it was out of spite. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I was angry. I was like, you know what? No, I don't, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But, yeah, I was upset because the people that I wanted to listen, the people that I had in mind, at least, the people that I pictured listening, they weren't listening. And that was all right. You know what I mean? It's okay. But I found you. You're listening. That's great. Um, and I really do appreciate that. And then if there's just one person or anything like that, or even myself, sometimes I'll listen to it back just so I can hear. Yeah, I do edit it, but once it's done, I'll listen to it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm breathing too much. Oh, you can hear the dryer on the other side of the wall. Oh, my fan was on. Oh, I left this out. Right? So like, I do try to better it. Um, I don't know, why do you even start talking about this? Why y'all piss me off bringing all this stuff up? No, I'm just kidding. But I hope I've gotten better. I started. I wasn't doing the video. Now I'm on video. Right. There was a few more steps that I had to learn how to do, but we got the hang of it. If you don't know where the videos are, is Cine-Ops on the Cine-Ops podcast on YouTube, and there I am. There it is. My other channel is called Just Alvy underscore, maybe just Alvy, right? If you Google Just Alvy, I think it'll pop up. And then I'm gonna start working on that. Because I had one video go viral, and it was just a video that I didn't even try hard to make. I wasn't even paying attention. I was like, oh yeah, asked my girl to record this, and I made a steak and eggs breakfast or something like that, and it went crazy, right? And that's why I was able to get a lot of subscribers on there. But yeah, I need to work on it. So really, I just want to say thank you for listening so much, right? So to everyone that listens, and not like if you listen and you say, oh, I'm a fan of this podcast, thank you. I really do mean that. Thank you a lot. And I do it for you, and I do it because you love movies, you love stories, maybe even me. And that's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Because I'm running out of time, and I'll keep ranting. All right, let me know if you want more ranting videos, because I'll do a rant here and there. Maybe I'll rant on the other channel because I need to cross promote both of them. All right, so check me out on YouTube, Just Alvy. Check out the podcast, Cine-Ops Podcast. Email in cineopspodcast@gmail. Email in, tell me whatever you think. I think the Cine-Ops is on TikTok too. It's on TikTok also. My Just Alvy's on TikTok, and I post a lot of clips on there. So wherever you find me from, let me know. Comment, subscribe, share. Thanks for listening. All right, we'll make a plan for 2026. We'll see how it goes. I'm Alvy. This is the Cine-Ops Podcast. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.